everyone, this is Daniel Crawford, and I am going to give you my weekly review, the top 5 of WWE. This, of course, is spanning from Valentine's Day 2022, that's February 14th, through February 18th, Raw through SmackDown. So, just before I get into this, just know when I post this, Elimination Chamber may have already started, so my predictions may already be wrong or right. Just know that I'm recording this, about 15 minutes away from Elimination Chamber. So let's get right to it. First, before we get to the top 5, some honorable mentions. First of all, I want to note that it is a downer for me seeing that there were no women's matches on SmackDown. That was disappointing. I know there were significant segments for the women, but this all took place when they recorded 2 shows in one night because they had to do that because of the Saudi show. Anyways, that's the only gripe I had about SmackDown. Another honorable mention, The Undertaker is going to the Hall of Fame. This almost made it in my top 5, but I'm trying to keep the top 5 being exclusively about story. Undertaker, the video package for him was pretty awesome. It was on SmackDown, one of the highlights of the show for me, as well as the Goldberg package. But this Undertaker going to the Hall of Fame, well-deserved, and the most sensible Hall of Fame choice of all time. Anyways, Brock Lesnar cleans house on Raw. Another honorable mention. Great segment here, building up the Elimination Chamber. Brock Lesnar getting this, just destroying Austin Theory. Now, I don't know if this qualifies so much for the last laugh. We'll get into that here momentarily. Becky Lynch and Lita, their contract signing was really good. Becky's always really good with promos, and this building up with this, she's trying to forewarn Lita, the little scuffle here. I mean, this was just all good stuff right here. Orton skipping the Broga Party. So Orton was preparing for his match against Seth Rollins. That's another honorable mention because that was a great match. But Orton skipping the Broga Party I think might be significant down the line. Obviously, seems like they're building for a match between Orton and Riddle, probably at WrestleMania. Also, Reginald, betrays Dana Brooke and becomes the 24/7 champion in a really comical Valentine's Day friendly date segment. I really enjoyed this. Everything with the 24/7 title, I know a lot of people hate on it, but it gives R-Truth something to be hilarious about, and this was just more with him, Tozawa, and Tamina chasing after Dana and Reggie. Just good stuff. Alexa Bliss is back. So her transition, as I predicted, these counseling sessions, was a transition of her from this Fiend-created character back to her original, the Goddess. Although the Goddess is still a little bit corrupted, so she's not all the way healed. We saw the little thing where she lifted up the quote-unquote fake Lily's hand to shake the hand of the doctor before she left. Just good stuff. So we'll definitely see a partially corrupted Alexa Bliss back. But I'll talk more about the Women's Elimination Chamber here momentarily. Also, this LA Knight, Grayson Waller stuff, I'm loving it. The end of the protection order because Grayson Waller, he violated the protection order because Grayson, for some stupid reason, thought that he claims that where he comes from, his country, the person who has a protection order can attack the other person, but they can't be attacked. I guarantee that's not the case, but still, just good stuff here, building up for LA Knight and Grayson Waller to have a really good send-off. Carmelo Hayes and Cameron Grimes had a really good main event match. That's an honorable mention there. Just good stuff with Grimes. Of course, Hayes keeps the title because he's the one who's going to be having the rocket strapped to his back. But Grimes is he's just increasingly improving, I think, over time. Ronda Rousey, Naomi, Sonya Deville, and Charlotte had a contract signing. Good stuff here, actually. Ronda Rousey is getting better and better on the mic. I mean, she was already improving before she left. Now she's back, and I'm looking forward to a match at WrestleMania with Charlotte. But this match, of course, I'll talk more about it here soon. I think this whole segment was pretty decent, I thought. So, getting into the top 5 before I get to my Elimination Chamber predictions. Top 5, Pete Dunne defeats Tony D'Angelo in the opening bout of NXT Vengeance Day. That was, of course, the episode of NXT this past Tuesday. This was a really fun match. Probably my favorite match of the night. And I love Pete Dunne, but Tony D'Angelo has an incredibly bright future ahead of him. A great heel, the whole package, and I can definitely see him going to the main roster soon. So, yeah, great stuff with Tony D'Angelo and Pete Dunne. The women's gauntlet match on Raw. I believe it was the show stealer of the night on Raw. Just a great match, a showcase of the women's division. Look, I love Tegan Nox, but Tegan Nox made a recent bitter comment saying that the women's division WWE is heading back to the Diva era. This gauntlet match kind of, I think, proved for me, and as well as the other, like those 3 women's matches at Elimination Chamber. Fact is, the Divas division is long gone. Do they have elements of it? Yeah, sure. But at the same time, this gauntlet match showcased how great the women are in WWE, the best women's division in the world. Now, number 3, the Broga Party. I enjoyed it. I know it's a lot of stupid comedy, but it was still comedy, and I love comedy. I love to laugh. If you don't like to laugh, I don't know what to tell you. But, or at least if you don't like to laugh at this stuff, to each their own. But I loved it. Just great stuff. Like I said, it's significant to me that Orton skipped the Broga Party, so we'll see where that goes. Sami Zayn becomes the Intercontinental Champion. This is number 2 highlight. This was great stuff here. Obviously, poor Shinsuke Nakamura. I know he's had injuries here recently, which is part of what contributed to him not really competing. But this is his second Intercontinental title reign where he barely competed at all. So it's good that they put the Intercontinental title on Sami. Word is that Sami Zayn, I hate knowing the backstage information about this. Word is Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville are set to have an Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania. So hopefully Knoxville doesn't win the title. If he does, whatever. I know this is a very controversial opinion to have with wrestling. I know growing up I had high opinions about certain titles, but in all honesty, Vince Russo is kind of right. Titles are just props. I mean, you really hate to look at it that way, but ultimately they're just part of the story. And yes, you use them to reward people, but ultimately they become part of the story. And finally, the number 1, predictably probably, just because I'm kind of a merc for him, Roman Reigns takes the number 1 spot here. His segment with Heyman and Goldberg and the closing of SmackDown this past week, I think did a lot for me to get me hyped up for SmackDown. That's why SmackDown occupies the top 2 spots here. But Raw was really good. NXT was really good. A really good week in WWE. Now let's head very quickly to my Elimination Chamber's predictions, and I'll give a quick explanation for each one. I believe Rey Mysterio will get the win over The Miz. Probably will involve something with Edge or a WrestleMania opponent for Miz. But I believe Rey Mysterio is going to get the victory over Miz here. Then, of course, Miz basically has no one that can cheat for him. Unless Morrison comes back. Brock Lesnar, obviously, I believe he's going to win the Elimination Chamber. I know some people are already prepared to bitch about it. I'm not going to bitch about it. I think it's good booking. I mean, you may disagree, but it's good booking to have Brock Lesnar versus Roman, title versus title at WrestleMania. We haven't had a world title versus world title WrestleMania, I don't think ever. I believe when they united the World Heavyweight and WWE Champions, when they united those, I believe that was at SummerSlam. So, this will be an incredibly significant main event for WrestleMania, and I'm looking forward to it. But Brock Lesnar will win the Elimination Chamber. I love Bobby Lashley, but he's not going to get the title back just yet. Becky Lynch will defeat Lita. Do I think Lita's done on this run? Probably not. She's probably going to at least go through WrestleMania. Or maybe she's just there for Elimination Chamber. That's fine too. But Becky Lynch is definitely going back to WrestleMania for a reason I will mention momentarily. Usos will go over the Vikings. I love the Viking Raiders. But the problem is the Usos are just so over right now. And the fact that they're a part of the Bloodline, they're not going to give the Bloodline a loss at Elimination Chamber. At least not yet. So Roman Reigns will obviously defeat Goldberg and probably end Goldberg's career. So this will be a good match. I don't have any illusion that it won't be, but it will be a good match. But Roman is definitely leaving with that title. If he doesn't, I will be absolutely 1,000% shocked. If he loses the title, it'll be before the men's Elimination Chamber, and for some reason, but no, it just doesn't make sense because Brock winning the Royal Rumble, he will challenge for the Universal title. Storyline wise, it makes no sense for Brock to go against Goldberg. I mean, yes, Goldberg and Brock have a history, but this current rivalry, with how well these stories have been told during this current season of WWE, if you want to call it that, they're not going to break this trajectory towards WrestleMania of a Brock versus Roman main event, title versus title. So Drew obviously will defeat Madcap Moss. The only way he won't is if Baron Corbin interferes and it paves the way for Baron versus Drew. But I think Moss is going to get injured, probably, storyline injured, and Drew McIntyre is going to crush him and win. Bianca Belair will win the Women's Chamber match. Look, I'm looking forward to Alexa Bliss's return. I believe all the women who are in this match are going to be showcased pretty well. It's just significant to have a show with so many women competing in Saudi Arabia. Just, I mean, do not ignore the historic significance of this. It's really historic, actually. But Bianca Belair is going to get her win back over Becky at WrestleMania. I am calling that. And she's going to win the Elimination Chamber to get that shot, which is why Becky's going to beat Lita. One of the many reasons why she's going to beat Lita. And finally, Naomi and Ronda. This is a bold prediction. Naomi and Ronda are going to lose to Charlotte and Sonya Deville. This is to prepare possibly for Sonya Deville versus Naomi one more time at WrestleMania, and obviously to give Charlotte her win back from Royal Rumble, to give her, a balanced record against Ronda. So going into WrestleMania in this season, they'll be 1-1. And it's it's going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Prepare yourself.
Right now, let's get out of here.
Hi everyone, this is Daniel Crawford, and what are we going to talk about here? Impeachment. Well, the second impeachment trial of Donald Trump, it definitely made some history. It was the first ever time that a president had been impeached twice. The first time that a president had been impeached after, at least tried, not impeached, but tried after they left office, because he was impeached while he was still in office, but he was tried afterward. And it was also featured the most examples of members of the president's party voting against them. Whereas, it was 7, members, it was the first time ever that members of the president's party voted for impeachment in a significant way. I don't even think that the impeachment of Trump the first time around garnered any Republican votes. I have to double check that. Actually, no, I think it may have garnered the vote of Justin Amash, who switched over to be an independent. So I'm not even sure if that qualifies. But I do know it featured a significant amount of Republicans voting against a significant amount of the president's party voting against the president in both the impeachment as well as the trial for the impeachment. So, excuse me for stumbling my words there. Either way, it made history. He was acquitted, obviously, fell 10 votes short of removal, and there were 7 Republicans in the Senate who voted against Trump. So, why is this all significant? Well, as I've said, in my own activism about this issue for, about, it's getting close to 2 decades now, ever since 2005, when I was an advocate for the impeachment of George W. Bush at the time, for war crimes, amongst other things, I said at the time, and I said even with Obama, and of course obviously with Trump, that every time that we let a president off the hook for abuse of power, whether it's not impeaching them at all or it's acquitting them for their crimes, we set a dangerous precedent that is inherited by that president's successors. And that precedent needs to be taken seriously. And consider everything that Trump did while in office. Now, of course, if you're a Trump supporter, you're thinking, well, what did he do wrong? But, honestly, there are plenty of scholars, plenty of people who are experts in political science, who are historical experts, who know that Trump crossed some serious, dangerous lines. George W. Bush had done the same before him. Even Obama had pushed the envelope a little bit too far when he ordered the execution without a trial, or even without judicial process at all, or without due process at all, the execution of an American citizen who had taken sides with the enemy. And of course, this is at a time when we still legally classified terrorists as enemy combatants, quote unquote. Like, Obama did not undo that extra constitutional qualification. They weren't seen as criminals, and they weren't seen as warriors that we were battling against. So they were in this gray line that we created. So that's the thing. Every time we don't hold our presidents accountable, or heck, even members of Congress or the Supreme Court accountable for their abuses of power, it sets these precedents that say, hey, you know what? It's okay to do this. And of course, the same is definitely true with Donald John Trump's abuses of power. And, we have to think about what happened in this particular case. He should have definitely been impeached for a lot more than what he was the first time around, when he was impeached in late 2019 and tried in early 2020. So when he was impeached the first time around, they based it on that phone call to Ukraine, where he was trying to blackmail the Ukrainian government he was trying to withhold funds, for helping them. He was trying to withhold funds and trying to demand that they help him get damning information against Joe Biden, because that's who he suspected was going to be his opponent. And that's just it. He abused his power, trying to use that power to influence foreign policy, try to use that power to, create an advantage for himself in the 2020 elections. There are so many times, and here's the weird thing about Donald Trump. There's a lot of abuses of power with him, a lot of things that were dangerous with him that he'd never even had to do. The man didn't realize, through his own paranoia, it was like with Richard Nixon. Nixon, he was his own worst enemy as well, because while it was arguable that he probably didn't have anything to do with the break-in at Watergate to bug the Democratic Party, Nixon's crime was at the very least participating in the cover-up. And that's where he at least committed impeachable offenses, arguably. But Trump, he never had to make this phone call. The man was his own worst enemy because he didn't take advantage of the fact that he was riding high on this economic boom that was going on up to that time when he made the phone call. Yes, there were signs that the economy was starting to wane heading into 2020, even before the pandemic. But the fact of the matter is that if he was not so self-destructive, in his personal behavior, and that's not private, but in his behavior as a human being, if he wasn't so self-destructive for his political ambition, being, just this disgusting human being as he was, visibly so, he would have had really high popularity. It is arguable that because of the economy alone, as well as the fact that there were really no new foreign wars. I can't say no new wars in general, because look what happened in the summer of last year. But because of the fact alone that the economy was still doing very well, that a lot of jobs were still being created, because the economic boom that started under Obama and that he did not really interfere with, because Congress wouldn't allow him, because Democrats were effective at blocking it in Congress, because he didn't get in the way of the economic prosperity at the time, he could have had an easy ride to get reelected. He just could have. Of course, things probably would have fallen off the rails when it came to a second term, but still, Trump Trump more beat Trump. Trump definitely more beat Trump than what Biden beat Trump. Well, let's just be honest about that. Still, that phone call, him trying to get damning information regarding, some kind of Ukrainian deal, supposedly, between Joe Biden's son, and some shady figures in Ukraine. Because of that, Trump was trying to get some damning information about that so he can try and use it during the campaign, and we found out about it. So that's what he was impeached for the first time. But this time around, consider the fact that he was impeached because, he went out, repeatedly called into question the election results, try to convince people that it was stolen, and then he was using this rhetoric suggesting that he was going to fight to the very end, that he wanted the people to be with him. He wanted the people, effectively, to fight alongside him in this battle to maintain his power. So, he was sending these dog whistles, if you will, not so much racial dog whistles, well, sometimes racial dog whistles, but he was sending these dog whistles about, how the election was stolen, how he needed to fight for it to maintain power. And that's just it. He sent these messages, whether overtly or not, suggesting that we needed to go to war over this. Or at least that's how a lot of his crazy supporters interpreted, his messaging. And, the man became his own worst enemy even there. But still, when the attack, the siege on the Capitol happened, what happened? He didn't ask for them to stand down. The man simply just allowed it to happen. He enabled it. He even was reportedly happy that it was going on. He was dangerous. And the fact is, by not convicting him, we have set this precedent that you can even be an accessory of sorts, even encourage an insurrection, and not be held accountable for it. Basically, Congress, via the Republican Party, although there were several Republicans who voted on the right side, they should just form their own party, but the Republican Party has helped create this extremely dangerous precedent saying the rule of law absolutely doesn't matter. The president can do whatever they want as long as the president's party is willing to back them up. It's just, that's where we are right now. And that's an argument, I think, for getting rid of political parties in general, and creating a system that is nonpartisan. So, that is truly nonpartisan as our system was designed for. So, some food for thought. All right, on to next time. We'll talk to you later.
I got Pink Cushion's track list here.
Okay.
I was gonna say, like, from comic to so forth. Like Blazy Boys, Blazy Bars. That song is more on the comedy side, definitely, 100%. Like, I wanted to make it real funny. Like, it started from a joking conversation. This Kung Fu stamps, robbed your ass and took your food stamps. Bright idea, new Lance, got pizza rolls and ooh ranch. Rock and being a new sense, it's no time to hear your rude rants. So lesson, don't concern yourself with how I consume plants. Right. That little funny thing, like, beat your ass so bad you have poop pants. Like, I was.
You actually were here when you created that.
No. I was up in Logan. Nope. I told you about it.
Okay, that's what.
Yeah,
there was at least a couple lyrics that you used so far in this album that you actually invented while you were here.
There's been a couple like I've said, but not honestly not a lot. But
right.
Either way, that whole line was me and Bragg. I think we just recorded something. I'm pretty sure we just recorded something because we were in the other room, right beside his bedroom. Right, and we were all chilling in there, just doing our thing, and like. All it's like, these Kung Fu stamps. What did I say? Beat your ass so bad, leave you with poo pants. Like, I made a whole rhyme before that, and I can't remember how it started. Like, I switched it up a little bit for the song. But I ended up saying the poo pants line, and he fucking died laughing. And I was like, I'm gonna make something of that, and we did. We ended up making.
And he had those sound effects in there too.
Yeah, well, I did the I did that part in the song, and we did our own sound effects. We even made most of them with our mouths and shit.
Right.
Like we went downstairs and crumpled bags of chips and shit. We made all those sounds ourselves. I think we went online for the. Did we go online for the microwave game? I think we did, but there was a couple sound effects that we got from online. But I did the the moan of being eating and shit.
Right.
But yeah, I did all that. But back to what I was originally going for. Lazy Boys, Lazy Bars. That's a comedy song.
Right.
Before I go, that was just me spazzing out. I just wrote. I remember how I wrote it too. I sat there and I wrote the chorus to it first before anything else.
Of course.
Of course. I wrote the chorus first. Wordplay. I remember I was standing in my kitchen, and I was just every now and then I'll just sit around and I'll walk through my apartment, especially when I'm alone in there. Or if I'm at work, I've wrote plenty of songs just while standing at work, and I'll just be sitting there, just stock of shelves by myself, and I'll just come up with something in my brain. I'm oh fuck, I gotta write that down.
Right.
But I can't sit and write a whole song, so I pull out my notepad and I fucking put. I type in the couple lyrics that I fucking thought of, and then sometimes I'll forget them and they'll go unnoticed for months sometimes. And I'll go through my lyrics oh yeah, I gotta finish that, and then I'll fucking finish it and make something like this. And this is where it came from. It says, "Confessions of a tortured soul. Believe me, I've lost all control. Looking for that one Messiah to relieve this pain and take me higher. Keep me from that burning fire. But the sins I've acquired, the devil's pulling me below. So I'll kill you all before I go." That's where it all started from. And I stopped writing that. And I had to leave or something. I can't remember, but I had to stop writing. And I left. And I came back, and one day I wrote a beat to it. I went to the groove pad and I put a selection beat in there. I selected some beats and shit, and I just threw it on together, and I started doing it to it. And I'm like, wow, I love that. It's fucking dope. And then I started going off of that. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to change the beat up. I'm just going to have the chorus just jump in. The beat's going to be the same thing all the way through. And that's pretty much what it is. And then I just wrote the fucking other parts. And I was like, I want to put some other shit in there. I don't know. I love the lyrics because you hear the speed and shit, but some people can't pick out lyrics.
Right.
And I just wanted to do some wordplay and double meanings and shit. And I'll do just the first chorus. I have Ghostwriter,
the character
lyrics of this Ghostwriter from Marvel Comics.
Oh, okay.
I have lyrics that are sectioned off of him. And matter of fact, I might do the second verse, but I love the first verse too, because it talks about it's pedal to the metal, too hard to handle, but I'm never gonna settle. Bound to be incredible. You're paralyzed. A vegetarian to a vegetable. See, I'm eating you. You're a vegetarian. You're a vegetable. You're paralyzed.
Right.
Get these lyrics. Get these meanings. These bodies and beats. These bodies and beats are edible. Your paper souls are shreddable. I just talked about being a vegetarian. I'm talking about eating beats, man. Come on.
Right.
This killer about to let it go and skin your ass head to toe. And all just so I can let you know that this is truly impossible for you bitches trying to stop my show. Bare to your chest and let it flow. Your bitches trying to cover my glow and my ability to grow. I have no paddle to pedal, but this flow is how I row. Man, come on! Right. Talking about traveling on water, man. This is how I row. This is how I row. This flow.
So you're really big about the double entendres.
Yes.
And triple entendres even. So
I love it. It's so fun. It's so fun to do. And you say this shit to people and they're like, huh? And then oh! I'm like, yeah! Listen to it.
Right.
And this is the only song I'm going to break down like this. But then I got my second verse. Wait. Sorry, go ahead. Then I got my second verse where it says, There's no doubt I got that lyrical lighter to set your soul on fire. It spreads deep inside you, ignites and burns until you expire. I'm just talking shit.
Right.
Turn you into a prayer reciter, because around your neck my grip gets tighter. This encounter you won't be a survivor, because I'm a fucking spine divider. That's just me talking shit more. I'm gonna kill you on this shit.
Right.
And then right here's the Ghost Rider references and shit. Stoked the flames of this Ghost Rider. Now I'm a vengeance provider. He's the spirit of vengeance. The vengeance provider. Tried to make him an insider. Through the cracks he crawled like a spider. Heed my warning, this is dire. Run before I come for the pain I require. So it's like, I'm just talking shit that last part, but I love those, like, demonic angel drinking death when I desire, stoke the flames of this Ghost Rider. Now I'm a vengeance provider, tried to make him an insider. Through the cracks curl like a spider, heed my warning, this is dire. Run before I come for the pain I require. I love these lyrics. Some of my favorite lyrics I've ever written.
So, I mean, that's
but yeah,
you're just trying, like you said, just spit, you know.
Like, it's just fun to get some of that out and just fucking have fun with it. And that's what we're doing on this. But like, that's more of a fun song.
Let's hear it.
Funny thing is, y'all think I'm serious on this shit, but I'm only playing on these beats. Yo, check it out. Confessions of a tortured soul. Believe me, I've lost all control. Looking for that one beside to relieve this pain and set me higher. Keep me from that burden fire. But the sins I've acquired, the devil's pulling me below. So I kill you all before I go. Yo, it's metal to the metal, too hard to handle, but I'm never gonna settle. Bound up, being incredible, you're paralyzed. A vegetarian to a vegetable. These bodies and beats so readable. Your paper souls are shreddable. This kill about to let it go and skin your ass head to toe. All just so I can let you know that this is truly impossible. For your bitches trying to stop my show, bury your chest and let it blow. Your bitches trying to cover my glow and my ability to grow.